This is Agentic Wave, your gateway to the latest breakthroughs in AI, the tech that's transforming how we live, work, and create.
Have you ever just wished you had an assistant who could, just take over your computer for a minute and do all the boring, repetitive stuff for you? I'm not talking about a chatbot. I mean something that can literally see your screen and use your apps. So just imagine for a second, an AI that could click, type, scroll through a website, fill out a form, move data from one app to another, all without you having to write a single line of code. What if it could just use your computer? Well, guess what? That future isn't some far-off sci-fi dream anymore. With Google's new Gemini 2.5 computer use model, it's actually here. Okay, let's get into it. Here's what we're going to cover in this explainer. First, we'll break down what this new AI agent really is. Then, we'll look under the hood at how it works. After that, we'll talk about its incredible promise, but also the very real perils it brings up. And finally, we'll zoom out and look at the bigger picture for the future of work. So, first things first, what are we even talking about here? What does it mean for an AI to actually use an app? At its heart, Gemini Computer Use is an AI that can look at the pixels on a screen, just like you and I do, and then figure out what to do next. It translates a command like book me a flight into a series of clicks and types. The crazy part? It doesn't need any special connection or API. It just interacts with what's on the screen. Tech expert Shelley Palmer put it perfectly. He said, it's like RPA on steroids. And if you're familiar with robotic process automation, those bots that automate simple, repetitive tasks, well, this is a whole different ballgame. It's smarter, way more flexible, and just a whole lot more capable. All right, so let's pull back the curtain for a second. How does this thing actually work? The core idea is surprisingly simple. It all comes down to this simple but really powerful loop. First, you give the AI a task and a picture of your current screen. The AI looks at the picture and decides what to do next. Maybe it's click this button right here. Then, some code on your computer actually performs that click, takes a new screenshot, and sends it right back to the AI. This see-act cycle just keeps repeating until the job is done. And these are the actual building blocks it uses. The AI has a toolkit of 13 basic actions, from clicking and typing at specific spots on the screen to scrolling a page or even dragging and dropping a file. Think of these as its digital hands and fingers. It's how it can manipulate pretty much any website out there. Okay, so it's a really cool idea, right? But does it actually work in the real world? Well, the early signs are pointing to yes. This thing isn't just a lab experiment, it's a powerhouse. And the numbers are pretty impressive. On a standard academic test for navigating websites, Gemini hit a 69% success rate. That puts it right at the top of the leaderboard, beating out its competitors in both how often it gets things right and how fast it does them. But here's the thing, this isn't just about passing tests. It's about solving actual problems. Inside Google, they're already using this AI to automatically fix their own software tests. And get this, it's successfully fixing over 60% of the tests that used to fail. That's a huge time saver for their developers. And it's not just Google seeing results. Early testers are reporting massive speed improvements. One company, Poco.com, says that the workflows they've automated with Gemini are often around 50% faster than any other method they've tried. That is a serious productivity boost. But, and you knew there was a but, with all this incredible power comes a whole new world of risk. So now we need to talk about the serious security and privacy issues. These are the big questions everyone should be asking. The privacy concerns really hit home when you read Google's own fine print. They say, and I'm quoting here, "Don't enter anything you wouldn't want a human reviewer to see or Google to use." So right off the bat, you have to ask yourself, what am I comfortable with a total stranger or Google's AI seeing on my screen? And the risks get scarier when you see new attacks like ASCII smuggling. Think of it like a message written in invisible ink. To you, it looks like a totally normal, harmless email, but hidden inside, in a font you can't see, is a malicious command. So when you ask Gemini to summarize the email, it reads the hidden part and could be tricked into sending your private data to a hacker. So what does Google have to say about this? Well, according to security researchers who found the issue, Google said they won't be fixing it. They're calling it a social engineering tactic, basically putting the responsibility on you, the user, not to fall for the trick. Okay, so that's external threats. What about inside a company? This brings up another huge question, especially for businesses. If you use this AI at work, could it accidentally show sensitive company data to the wrong person? Well, we asked Gemini that exact question. Its answer was a very clear yes, absolutely. It explained that if your internal security isn't perfect, if a file is shared with anyone in the company, or if sales and HR are in the same access group, Gemini can and will expose that data. It's only as secure as the system it's running on. So we've got this incredibly powerful and promising tool that's also, potentially pretty dangerous. Let's zoom out now and ask the biggest question of all. What is this going to do to our jobs? According to a big report from Goldman Sachs, the widespread use of AI like this could potentially replace about 6 to 7% of the US workforce. Now, that might not sound huge, but that's millions and millions of jobs that could be automated away. And this isn't just some abstract number. The report gets very specific. Jobs that involve a lot of repetitive computer tasks, think programmers, accountants, and administrative assistants, are at the highest risk. On the other end of the spectrum, jobs that require deep human judgment or being physically present, like CEOs or clergy, are the least at risk. But before we all start to panic, that same report offers some really important historical context. Over 60% of the jobs that people do today didn't even exist back in 1940. So history shows that while new technology definitely gets rid of some jobs, it's actually even better at creating brand new ones we can't even imagine yet. So here we are. We now have an AI that can not only think and write, but it can actually do things. It can use our tools, it can run our workflows. This is a fundamental change in what automation even means. And it leaves us with one massive question to think about. Are we really ready for what comes next?